sun. What you shine on the inside that makes you you. That is you. This is what I'm talking about. All right, welcome back to Mr. Anu Soul Spark Tarot. I'm just getting some inspiration from Soul Spark Tarot from a previous time. Other than that, let's get into it. We got a channeled message, and this channeled message is pretty much predicated on change. But the change that we're talking about is change of the ego. So if you want to learn about the change of the ego, tap in. All right. So, what's up? This is the Yap session. Let's get some music. Feeling like some city pop. But I've been realizing some stuff, people. I've been realizing some stuff. Like, this dude just drove by, looked at me in my car, and then said, "What's up?" Like, nigga, keep driving. Anyways, changes. Feeling like these changes have been happening. I don't know if you guys have been doing anything, but I've been in a spring clean kind of mood. So my objective for this winter for you is for you to understand how to feel like the sunshine. I want you to feel like summertime in the wintertime. So the idea is to take the joy of being in the summertime, all of the feelings, the relaxation, the not worry, the things that are on your mind versus the things that can't be on your mind because of school or because of work or because of not summer. That energy right now is what I want us to carry into the wintertime. And we can do that. The idea is we have to change our focus. So this is the point of view of a workaholic. A workaholic is somebody who is able to take on multiple tasks. Because their day is progressing and they're doing multiple tasks, they are able to be successful at multiple tasks within any given field. The problem is, it takes an entire day for one person to do 5 people's worth of work. But if you had 6 people, you would probably be able to get about 4 days work of done in one day. This change, again, we're talking about change today. That's the channeled message. This change in the ego is going to be focused on understanding that the energy required is still going to be constant. I'm using these specific terms because, again, these are math terms that you know, and you should have been introduced by 5th grade, and then you got to know it by 8th grade, and then you use it by real life. These things are changing. This is like paying rent, paying insurance, whatever monthly occurrence that you have. You can predict that because of certain math equations you learned in elementary school and in junior high school or middle school. You've learned this stuff. So I'll try to use it in a way to help you see it so you can hear yourself think about something you haven't thought about in a long ass time. But because you have experienced a lot of life in that long ass time, now you get a chance to see what changed, and you can start to see what things just aren't here because it's a different, season. What things do we do? What things do we have to do? What things gotta go? Like, you can look at those basic things, but those basic phenomena can create a huge change on how you direct your energy and bring that summertime vibe into the wintertime. How we hold on to this energy and carry it over through the transition, this is exactly what I'm describing, is exactly what you do in math. In math, if you want to get a number from the left side to the right side of an equation, you have to do what we call the inverse operator. We understand it's the same on this side, and then we understand it's the same on this side, but we got to understand the carryover part, the transition part. So if I have +2 over here equals 5, If I want to get it over to the +2 or the =5 side, left versus right, I got to take the opposite. What that means is I got to go from being +2 into 0. I got to be smoking 6 packs of cigarettes a day to now I'm smoking maybe 5. You have to reach a new absolute. That is the idea. In the case of what we're trying to do, we're trying to equalize that. So instead of just saying I'm smoking 6 and I moved to 5, no, you're saying I went from 6 to 0. We're not talking about anything else. We're talking about removing things, deducing things, reduction. This is actually what we call generalization. When we're starting to generalize certain changes, that's going to allow us to create change in new places, new spaces, and new mentalities that are associated with old emotions. Again, you can use your mind to change old feelings, just like you can allow new feelings to flow in accordance to new thoughts and old thoughts. This is what the present moment is. This is the pause before you get triggered. This is the space that occupies this is the space where consciousness would occupy prior to you being triggered or responding or stimulated. It's just prior. It's the anticipation. It is the sensors that are on and focused. It is the things you're looking for. I'm ranting like a motherfucker. Anyways, your sensors won't go off if you're not looking at it. NASA will not send out a probe and expect it to find, water molecules if the machine is programmed to look for salts and rocks. Like, you just got to understand there's parts of you that are just meant to do certain things because some things are okay being one-trick ponies. The changes that we're looking at obtaining, the changes that we're looking at seeing is using what we know. We know some things change, we know some things don't. And because some things change and some things don't, you have to start to see the differences in what is and what is not. But you have to identify it first. That's that space prior. You have to point out what could change. You have to identify it. Let me actually get a card so people won't believe that I'm just like talking. You got to believe that the change has to be identified. Okay? Whenever they're like this, we got to leave it because I'm going to keep going and it's just going to verify or not. So, this is why I like to listen. All right, we're talking about change, okay? And the lovers just fell out, okay? The lovers card just fell out. And when we're talking about change, we're talking about identifying different parts. This is the premise of all of it, okay? I'm going to do if you're new here, I like to yap, but I'm going to do a whole segment. I got plans. So I'm trying to help out myself while helping y'all out too. Shout out to the 60 of us. So if you're a repeat watcher, thank you for being here. Man, I know I be long-winded. I'm trying to reach a happy medium, but hey, I be yapping. Check out Mr. Anu Yaps if you like real life stuff. But anyways, the first rule one of the first rules of life we can kind of say is the idea of polarity, okay? A lot of people can resonate with this dualistic approach or polar approach, but duality is not the same as polarity. To create a pole means you are extending one thing into two things across a something. And I'm saying it in general because, again, the something is simply a noun. We can project anything. If I projected a direction, I can project it in any which way, and then I can call it something. Let's go this way. No, let's go that way. But we're going regardless. This is the idea of the lovers. The lovers being important in this ideal of change is represented by how we can view things separately, and that's simply just as a feminine or a masculine manner. A manner of taking action and a manner of learning something, receiving. This is the student versus teacher, the coach versus the coachee. You know, the employer versus the employee. This is that dynamic. It's who is receiving what? What do you do and who receives? But guess what? The lover's card identifies that this masculine energy is whole by itself and this feminine energy is also whole by itself. So as you look at the action, you then have to decide, is it outward action or inward action? And then if you're the feminine, am I learning something for my environment or am I learning something for myself? Am I learning to take action in my household or am I learning to take actions within my mindset, my emotional set? That is how we got to view these, and then these can oh dang, sorry. And then these things can exchange. I'll be floating. Mr. Hits, what you doing? We can't see nothing. Dang. But anyways, once we can find the temperance behind both of these, right? That's the temperance angel in the back with the sun. Once you find clarity in your own changes that you can take actions on and the own changes that you can receive actions from, then you can start to process the identification and its location, because some things can happen in layers, meaning they repeat. Even if they're specific to you, there's a construct that allows it to repeat over and over. That is the little bar over the division signs. When we say it's a repeating number or a repeating fraction, that little bar is representing by the cycles that are constant that we jump on and jump off. Imagine it to be like a roller coaster. Different people can ride the same ride. Different people can ride the same ride and have different emotions or the same emotions. So people can have the same emotions. You just got to have the right roller coaster. We're identifying differences and then we're trying to see how they connect. So the lover says that you know how to do that within yourself twice. You can do that over here for your inner self. You can do that over here for your inner self, so you can look inside and make identifiable changes two different ways. So you're open and you're patient. Where did this come from? This comes from the simple fact that you are the emperor. This emperor energy that knows how to take charge. This is our grandpa. Again, if you haven't seen television, go watch some television, because lots of these energies are always being depicted. Of course, who's depicting them matters, but that's the point. People can choose to do it. In the time where most of us had to do it, it was in school. So that's why I like to use school, and that's why I want you to try to view this as education, because you're learning about the things in life relative to the things that you've learned in life. And we all know that you learned some math and some English. We all know that you learned how to write. We all learned some grammar. We all learned some PE. We all learned a little bit of art. It doesn't matter, but we all have had some experience learning. So what that tells us is we know how to take control of certain things. It's about identifying what we're good at and what we're bad at. Damn, I don't like math class. I really like to read though, so I'll be reading all the time. I like English class. That's it. Identifying the changes, and then you can start to see, or some people can't, but you can start to see, I take these actions. I like to read, so I read these books. I'm reading extra. I'm setting time out. It's fun. I'm entertained. I'm engaged. You're doing all these things when you're reading. Let's see how we can now connect it to the math class. Fuck that. I don't like that math class. It's all right. It's all right. It's okay, because you like to read, right? Yeah, I love reading. Well, let's read these goddamn math problems. What? But no, that's how that dynamic goes between the energies. I'm just playing it out because that's an example that has played out, whether you participated in it or not. The idea is a good teacher is going to try to invent new bridges between you and the students, okay? You and the student, your peers, you and somebody else, because the best way to understand is to have multiple understandings. If I say something to you and you don't get it, and this is why you don't like math class and you don't understand because you don't get the words that are coming out of my mouth, guess what? If your friend does it, I'm going to have to elicit participation from the friend and say, hey, take 30 seconds and explain to your friend what this means. Do it at the same time, go. And now it makes it fun. They start to scream over at each other, calling each other dumb, calling each other smart, simply agreeing, sometimes not paying attention at all and doing the activity. So many different actions happen within that single identifiable command. But the idea is you have taken something that was out of your control, your ability to communicate or identify what is the problem, and now you opened up that person who was resistance to the math. Now they can talk with their friends and they're trying to have a conversation about math, and they're doing it in a way to where there's an expert in the conversation, the student who understands, and then the student who understands takes that information and transfers it to that student in a way that you couldn't do or you probably don't want to do. But the idea is peers can communicate to each other in a different way than external peers. Just like you can communicate to yourself internally if you're a peer to yourself or an external peer to yourself. That is the idea of understanding the separation and identifying these things, but you have all of those examples to see from based upon you being able to take control of things that seems daunting, the things that seem so opposite, changes that just seem impossible. You gotta not even give a damn about that. That is the whole idea. You gotta think of what was possible. It's not what is anymore. Look back and see what you got. Because if you look back and see what you got right now, then what you have right now, once it's identified, will be able to grow and change because it has been identified. So if you are a smoker, guess what? You can identify the smoking. You can identify if it's good, bad, harmful or not. You can tell yourself certain things and you can see them because you've identified them. And then you can say, oh, I can change my habits. That doesn't mean I stop. I can change my processes. That doesn't mean I stop. I can go cold turkey. That means I stop. You can talk and identify the data points of your own life, and you are working as a team because you are okay with however you identify it. It's a teacher just accepting all the answers. Man, that was a crazy answer, but okay. If you think that, wonderful. Give them a thumbs up. You just receive that. That's the feminine. But the teacher is in the leadership position, so you expect them to be the masculine energy like the emperor. A good emperor listens. It receives counsel. This emperor is a face. It's the head. It's not the everything else that makes it what it is. The family. Totos. But we always get locked into faces, which is why angels always come with faces of 4. You couldn't focus on anything. Everyone had a face to focus on, and that face was different. So what would you identify with? You got to look deeper and beyond. Just like when you have issues, when people can't get past the colors of people's faces, or the structures of people's faces, or the makeup of people's faces. It's the idea of knowing that you have a head plus a body. How do you identify? Well, as this has been coming slowly, you identify by seeing the changes that have been presented to you slowly revealing itself. And some of these things that's been revealed has come through multiple ways. This multiple ways has always been through change. Slow things come in changing your emotions and your passions. In other words, you're realizing what you're passionate about by identifying the things in the past that has changed. You're looking at the things that cause you heartbreak. So if smoking makes you sick all the time, guess what? That's emotional because now you're always at the hospital or you're always hacking or doing something. And guess what? You don't have any of that extra time that you would use if you wasn't focused on the negative aspect of this, which brings you conflict everywhere else. But it's energetic conflict. You don't have the energy. Again, if you start to identify the energies within you, just having conversations like I've been presenting during this whole entire reading, if you start to have those kind of presentations in these scenarios, you can now place yourself in a position, dang it, place yourself in a position to where you can now create a new perspective as you observe the internal thought. If you don't have an internal thought, now I can give you a version of how it manifests into what we call a thought then. If you can't hear it, see it. If you can't see it, feel it. If you can't feel it, know it. And if you can't know it, accept that you can't know it. And be cool with it. That's the most important part. Gotta be cool with it. So, because you can do all of these things, you can identify the things in a more slow pace that has created emotional conflict and has created energetic conflict. You can create a new thought pattern around it, meaning I can go from thinking about it like a man to thinking about it like a woman. Again, I can think about it from trying to teach somebody, or I can think about it from trying to learn from somebody. Oh, I can think about it from learning from those I teach. I can think about it by teaching from those I learn from. Guess what? No matter how you exchange the thought, even in these change that feels like loss, there's always opportunity. In this card, you have the opportunity for the Two of Cups. That is the balance between this and that. That is what comes first. I have polarity, and then I do something else. I connect the polarity into a single thing called this energy, called man, and this other energy called woman. Again, I take two separates, put it together in a cup. And then I take that cup and then I duplicate it. And then that duplication, I recombine it. That is how you build a brand new, balanced, temperate understanding of wisdom within yourself. But how do you maintain that energy? Man, I love a lot of these negative cards because I see the light within them because I've been traveling along the pathway long enough to see it change across the horizon. It went from light to dark time. So, taking this now, this 5 energy, I like to see this as people who disregarded you. And guess what? This disregard allowed you to observe the battle from the outside in. In other words, the chaos that you have in your mind, you can now come in with a new strategy because you're approaching it differently. You're not inside the shuffle like you see in this 5. You're outside the shuffle, and guess what? To me, this is like bonking everybody on the head. Bonk, 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 bonk. That is the energy of this card. Even if it's conflict, you have the strategic advantage because you can view things differently. Your temperance, I don't need to just jump in there and get into the mix. I can stay on the outside and I can see what they're doing, how it's moving. I can identify where the largest threat is, and blam! I can use my wisdom. And as you use your wisdom, you transform it a new idea, and then you present balance. And in that balance, again, because what comes after this is the 6. That's victory. What comes after this is the 6. Good old memories. All of those things get presented as one you, a person who loves themselves. Why? Because in this whole cycle of change, this whole process of change, everything is based upon judgment calls. I told you this card was going to be here and it's going to just verify everything that we said. I promise you. Because judgments are made. Again, in order to change something, you have to be the judge. We all say only God can judge me, right? But doesn't God say I am you? So guess what? If you have to judge me, that means internal. What you are hearing on the outside is just a filter of what you need to hear on the inside. So if you hear something on the outside that hurts your feelings, guess what? That allows you to go inside and see why the feelings are hurt. Make some judgment calls. You can start to see all the variation, all the different peoples, all the different energies, all the different versions and the chaos is within you, all the conflict, all of the pettiness, all of the robbery, all of the over feminine, all of the over masculine, all of the toxicity, all of the in between, the new emotions, the changeable emotions, the things I don't even know about, the ignorant aspects of ourselves called our youth. Judgments can be made across them all. Judgments of healing, just because you identified it. And guess what? Some kids are just bad because they want to be bad, man, and they want the attention, and they don't want to do bad, but they know the consequences, so they'll greatly take the consequences, and guess what? Then they'll give themselves an opportunity to prove that they're changed, or they're the good kid now. And guess what? You can make the judgment call of scolding that kid and shunning them away when they're creating opportunities for themselves, or you can make the judgment call and say they've made a judgment call. Let's see what the outcome is with time. That's what this is. Change has occurred through time. Can you identify it? Have you been in jail long enough for certain memories, certain emotions? Have you done enough time already? Make the judgment. So even though that felt like it was a final message, even though it was the first message, let's see what our final message is. Knight of Wands, take some action, baby. Take your action. Take your action. Take your action on the inside. So, if I had to give you some suggestions, I said this earlier. Suggestion is to identify your medicine for your energy. In other words, if you had to drink a potion, let's say, magic potion. If you had to drink a magic potion, what magic potion would you drink to keep your energy levels up? What would it be first? Identify it. Call out a judgment upon what you see as helpful for you. The things that you know that are helpful for you, again, what helps your energy stay up, are the things you need to move towards right now. That is how you make the judgment call. Because again, if you were 6 and you didn't like tomatoes, but now you're 26 and you love a good tomato in your salad, even though you don't consider yourself to personally enjoy tomatoes, but in the right context, you'll fuck a tomato up. That is the energy that you need to be identifying, seeing how just you have a difference. That's it. It's not about forcing anything to be anything else right now. I like tomatoes when I eat ketchup, and I don't like it on my burger. What? You don't eat ketchup on your burger? No. I put ketchup on my burger, and I take the tomato off. That is what we're saying. Maybe you're like, I don't eat ketchup, but give me some real tomato. There's lots of variations in how one can consume that fruit, that vegetable, whatever you want to call it. It's a fruit. But what I'm saying is both parties are fueled. And because both parties are fueled, whether it's by using ketchup or the actual tomato slice, guess what? It is the same thing in some kind of format, and it does something different. And if ketchup slows you down and the tomato slows you down, don't eat the ketchup and don't eat the tomatoes. Go off and fucking play separate places. You go over there, you go over there. I don't want to hear this shit. Sorry, I'm just saying, like, if you was in school and you was bickering over some petty ass shit like using tomato paste or using spaghetti sauce, what the fuck? Make the choice, bro, and move the fuck on. Like, that's the idea of calling the judgments. Oh, what? I've been scared of this for so long. What the fuck? Goddamn. Move the fuck on with this. Next. If you got kids, you have so much more practice than people who don't got kids. You got little motherfuckers living life the same way you did right in front of you. You need to be using their examples and saying, damn, I did that shit. Let me go on back, because if my kid is doing that and they're 3, damn, nigga, you just got a super gateway opened up to that age in your time frame, and you can project that memory based upon what you are feeling. And that current feeling is, I feel like my child has done something in the past. Dang, this dude is acting just like me. An act. Well, it is a part of you, so that's a part of you that is replaying you at that point in time. It is acting out a movie for you. You just an extra. So change. Change comes from taking that point of view. Even the best movie stars can watch a movie. It is that simple. Even the best teachers can learn. That's what this energy is. It's trying to show us that anybody can take flight. Anytime. But the anytime is, again, I like to see these night cards as verbs. Energies in motion. It doesn't matter if you're the king, queen, or a page. It doesn't matter to me. Any knight is in motion. That's why they're all on horses. But the motion comes from the energies flow within you, which is why all 4 energies flow within us. Earthly energy flows through us slowly, which means it's macro, it's momentous. It needs a lot of momentum or routines to repeat over and over to get the ball rolling, aka going from no energy to some energy. This is the God aspect of creation. You ever seen them videos where people throw rocks and they be like, oh, boom, man video, rock explode? That's men's. That is man changing life. But because it's on the macro scale, like we all can see it, it's going to take millions of years or a long ass time for, because I don't know for sure, but it's just going to take a long period of time for these things to actually be visibly seen as a change. And it might not be for you, so you might not ever see it. So don't be like, oh, well, if I can't see it, it ain't real. You ain't seen $1 million, but you want it. So you believe that it might be real. That slow moving energy is not the same as you saying, man, I'm hungry, I'm getting up and going to the kitchen. Whether you're hungry for dinner, hungry for dessert, hungry at a time you're not supposed to be, hungry at a time, not hungry when you're supposed to eat, like whatever that energy, I'm taking action, action, action. That is fire energy. The emotional energy that flows within you is the things that make everything go round and round. Think of it like an aqueduct, a circle. It's a cycle. It's raining over here. We got oceans over there. We got rivers flowing over here. We got sleet and snow. We got heat and no water at all. And then the air sign does what? It actually is what creates spaces in between all of this stuff. Air is the idea of layers. The air sign is the representation of the details. And the details have to happen through separation. I'm going to blend this color over here, and I'm going to separate it and blend with this color over here. And guess what? Through the separation, we have change. But through the blending, we also have change. So you get change in how you see what was blended together. In other words, you get change in how people are taking action upon the spaces that are being provided to us through the routines that we're enacting and what we're making judgment calls upon. So, whether you're new to the action, like a page, or whether you're old to the action, like an emperor or an empress, whether you are mastering a single aspect, like a king or a queen, or maybe you don't even know, you just doing stuff. Any of those 5 representations all come through this night energy, which says explore. You can be talented in certain things that you never knew about. Explore. Change what you are already exploring because you already know about enough about it. Explore. But another word for explore is simply change. So make the judgment calls on the things you want to change. Went way longer than I wanted to, but hey, I appreciate y'all for who are watching and being here this long. Again, I loved these. Got to be like some kind of sessions or something. I don't know, but it's hard for me to do short ones. But things coming in around this time, I think they'd be right on time. So because time is real, time exists. The only way to have divine timing is to understand that there is time. You gotta understand your time, the pre-time, the post-time, divine time. Those are like 5 different times. Stop saying it don't exist. Be in tune with time so you can be in tune with the changes of the spaces that we're riding on called the current of time in this life. All right, now I'm out of here. Peace.